So welcome back to our conversations about the human animal and the human predicament. This is where we take on some of the burning questions of our time, the inconvenient truths of the modern world, the excruciating dilemmas that we face, the stress burden, and the despair, the ache that we feel in our bodies. And today I want to talk about a couple of ideas, a couple of words that are closely related. First one is amnesia. And this is the great forgetting, you might say, where modern humans are so distracted and live in such a state of frenzied activity that we've forgotten who we are. We've forgotten our native powers and our native capabilities. We've forgotten what it means to be human. We don't even take the time to remember our lives as human animals. And this is a tragedy that not many people are talking about. A closely related word here is atrophy. And we mostly understand this as a matter of muscle. In the human body, we all understand that if you don't work a muscle, that it tends to atrophy. If you don't use it, you lose it. But this is a much bigger issue. This process extends all the way across the human nervous system and to all of our capabilities, even the most subtle qualities of our experience. So whether it's something like sensation or emotion, maybe it's our ability to exercise empathy or calmness, compassion, all of these things follow the same use it or lose it principle. And we forget this, don't we? We're looking for quick magic solutions, but really the solution lies in using our capabilities. Now, I want to give you a couple of examples. The first one is the Polynesian navigators. And you may have heard this story. In prehistory, before contact by modern civilization, Polynesian navigators would go out on the open ocean in their canoes and navigate long distances to other islands, only using the sun, the stars, the wind, the waves, and the life that they saw in the ocean. People, humans, are really good at navigation, it turns out. Think of prehistory in Africa. You'd go out hunting, you had to find your way, follow the animals, go on an adventure. You have to make your way back to camp. You have to pay attention to the lay of the land, the features of the terrain. And that's a natural, native human capability. But now imagine if you look at Google Maps all the time. You look at your phone to find your way every day. Well, you're not using your native capability, so that begins to atrophy. That begins to diminish. And that's a tragic loss of human capability. Sure, the phone makes it easy to find your way in a complicated environment, but there's a price to be paid. You lose that native capability, and that's something that we can't really afford to lose. Second example is in conversation. In a normal human conversation in prehistory, pre-technology, a normal human conversation includes the entire body. So now you're bringing posture, you're bringing facial expression, tone of voice, all of these physical characteristics to the encounter with another person. That is rich communication, and that's what humans are really good at. That kind of conversation is far more meaningful and impactful than something that you do on your phone. And so now what happens? Well, you start to text, and if that's all you do, if that's your dominant primary form of communication, that's really shallow communication, and your native capability begins to atrophy. That's another tragedy. And if you are an older person, such as myself, you've probably noticed this, that the quality of communication in the modern world seems to have diminished radically. People talk at each other, but it's very rare now to engage in rich communication, rich conversation with anyone else. And that is horrific. That does not bode well for our future as human animals. The final example has to do with AI. And this is bound to be another case of use it or lose it. If you go to AI for assistance in some curiosity that you might have or some creative project that you might have, think what happens. You get that answer right away. Well, what happens to your native curiosity? What happens to your native desire to fight your way through to find an answer to a question that you have? Well, that begins to atrophy too. And that's what terrifies me about AI, because what will happen to our imagination? What will happen to our creativity in a world where answers are right at hand, where there's no effort required to find what you need to know? Yeah. And this could spell the end of human creativity, because if no effort is required, well, use it or lose it. And if we lose that, that's a catastrophe that we haven't even begun to comprehend. So it's one thing to use these technologies as a supplement to a normal creative life, a rich human life. But it's another thing entirely to use these technologies as a substitute. And that's what I'm afraid we're doing now. We're forgetting our native capability. We're falling into amnesia and atrophy, and we have to fight back against this. Use the technologies as a supplement, but not as a substitute. Look forward to next time.